I woke up like this. I woke up like this. So I made some coffee. It's Black Opinionated Woman, also known as a bow. So you guys know I have these weird sleeping habits. So I'm gonna jump right on into it. I don't typically recap a whole bunch of shows. The only show I think I enjoyed recapping was the and just like that, it was a reboot to the Sex in the City. That doesn't come out until 2023. I don't know if this is going to be a real recap, but I'm going to talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac season 7. I believe it's episode 7. And I called this Mia versus Wendy Fisticuffs. So this is the thumbnail. I think my thumbnail speaks for itself. Ugh. All right, so look, you guys are just gonna have to excuse me because this is what it looks like when I get up. Hair's all over the place. This is the situation. So I want to start off by saying that although this is I can't get this to stay. Although I titled this Mia versus Wendy Fisticuffs, I want to say words are also violent. I just want to pause on that. Words can be violent. Words are triggering. Okay. So let me just get right out there. I'm just going to start off the bat and then I'll wind it back. I think when Wendy, let me rephrase that. Mia, she was poking the bear with Wendy. Okay. Getting all up in her business. I don't actually think, I think the fact that she was in her business was kind of like, really? But I get it. You have to be messy for these shows. What she said was, I don't think it was all that damaging when she made the comment to Wendy that, hey, wait a second, business is separate from family, right? And I'm probably going to be one of the few who's going to agree with her. Now, that's not to say that whenever I've had something going on with other men, that came out kind of weird, right? Of course, my husband is aware of things. I tell him things all the time. But what she said wasn't necessarily wrong. But I think when you already have a tumultuous, like I can't get the words out, tumultuous history with someone, anything can be said as triggering. Now, let me just also say this. With that being said, I understand Mia's anger, but I'm like, why did you have to throw a glass of water on Wendy? With all those things I agree with, you know, I don't understand the glass of water, but I do understand the trigger. Because see, during that conversation, so maybe it's because I'm a married woman, right? I was looking at this episode, and by the way, I fell asleep on it last night because I think the whole show is just getting stupid. Is turning into a reality TV cliche. It's turning into a cliche. But we're not going to even go there. That's another conversation topic. I fell asleep on it because it's already stupid. I woke up this morning. I said, let me try to watch it again now that I can watch it in the wee hours of the morning. With everything that I said, as far as Mia being messy, she should have never thrown that glass of water on Wendy. I do think Wendy is still a piece of, you know what? I think it's wrong that she can just say and be reckless with her words like Candace. And then they'll say things like, I use my words. I use my words. I'm like, but words are also damaging. Words are damaging. Because wasn't she the same one last year or the year before? Like, oh, don't say angry because there's a connotation with being an angry Black woman and all these other things, right? Words have meaning. So in that conversation, she's literally poking and saying things like, I don't know what you do in your marriage, trying to elevate her own. She's taking shots at another man. See, I'm just kind of like, look, as she likes to tell herself as being highly intelligent. I'm like, well, then you can use your words in other ways. Now, let me get on into what I was going to say, and then I'll just wrap this up. Let me go. I actually took a couple of random notes while I had coherent brain cells. I just want to say this again. Words are violent too. So we don't get a pass for saying things like, I use my words. And so then you want to police everyone's response. I still think Mia was wrong for throwing that drink. I just want to make this clear. I don't care if it was water. I don't care if it was a glass of air. She shouldn't have done it. But like I said, words are also violent. You cannot continue to say things like, oh, well, as if you're better, because I use my words as you wield it as a weapon. And biblically, they talk about the tongue is also a weapon. So for all of you out here who are going to get on the, oh, this is a colorism train, I'm not saying that there isn't colorism in this show. But what I am saying is messy Mia, because that's really what she was. She was all the way messy, was saying things like, hey, he said you didn't sign a contract. I don't remember exactly what it was, right? With that being said, because she was messy, all the way messy, Wendy's return was to take a shot at that Trick's marriage. And that seems to be the wash, rinse, repeat that we've got going on. That's what it is. So everyone's going to try to cry, oh, this is colorism. I'm talking about in this one moment, because I'm going to get to Robin in a second. In this moment, that had nothing to do with colorism. There were two women fighting and they're starting to get dirty. See, Mia said, hey, wait a second. What does that have to do with business? This is just business, even though it was none of Mia's business. Let's make this clear. But she's basically saying this is business. What Wendy was saying is, I don't have to check in with a man. Now, I understand where Wendy's coming from because I've had conversations like that before with people when it comes to men and this and the other. I'm like, no, I do this for my husband, not for anybody else's husband. But even if she said it at that point, that would have been fine. But see, what Wendy knew exactly what she was doing. And so that all she did was try to be a little more cunning about it, which I don't even think it was cunning at all. So then Wendy and Candace, they'll do things like, oh no, all I did was say X, Y, and Z. Let me tell you something. If Mia had taken a shot at Wendy's children, those beautiful babies, by the way, what if she just said, she could have said any reckless thing? Wendy would have probably lost her mind because we've also seen that Wendy can't control herself too, right? Wendy would have lost her mind, right? Because that would have been an attack on her children, right? She would have, you know, and then all Mia had to say was, I don't understand why she's being so violent. All I did was use my words. So this is the reason why I feel like this is so disingenuous when I listen to these women out here in these streets, and then they take pride in being called the shade assassin, all this stupid stuff. It's so stupid. It's stupid. These women are sick. And like I said in the previous video, I said there is no womanhood on this show. There is none. None. Now, let me go on down my list of notes. Mia was hella messy in this episode. This is why I stopped watching a lot of these shows, right? I'm torn with the Black shows because I want to support them. I want to see these women have jobs, as we say. But in the same token, I'm just at the point, I'm like, it's just not that interesting to me. I don't know if this is something I want to put into my spirit. There's silly people. There's silly people drumming up foolishness for a show. But anyway, Nia is being like super messy with Peter. I don't understand why Peter is. I just think he likes mixing it up with women. I don't understand that, and I'm gonna call the same thing out. It's the same thing with Chris. What? So everyone wants to say, "Oh, Chris is so innocent." Why is Chris always in the mix with the women? But it's not about Chris this episode because he's seems to be, hiding out as he should. But getting back to messy Peter. Peter should not be mixing it up that much with these women. Now, I understand they had to bring that tie into the whole bar one thing, but I don't understand why. I don't get it. I don't get it. Now, let me just say this: Mia is all the way two faced. She is two faced. I mean, like, you can't say anything to her because you know she's going to run back and put a spin on it and just, flap her gums to these other ladies. So I get it. She's entertaining for the show, all that good stuff when she's not being, you know, like violent. Now, like I said, there are going to be people who are going to come out today and they're going to go after Mia, and rightfully so. But what they need to do is make sure they address the reckless mouth of Wendy, because wind it back. Wendy started taking lower shots at this woman's husband, and that was unnecessary. And all Mia was saying was, "Wait a second, what does this have to do with business? Whether you agree or not is one thing, but she was taking a shot at this woman's husband." Mia should have never thrown that glass of water, though. I would not have wasted my good water on one day. No. Now, let's get to, I'm going to wrap this up with Peter for a second. Why does Peter think he owns like Miami or Baltimore or whatever? I didn't even realize he even had like a club or lounge in Baltimore. And I live in Maryland. And let me tell you something. Well, granted, I am not a public figure, but even if I were, I'm not going looking for Peter Thomas. I'm not. Like, I don't know why people think like, "Oh, you're coming to my city." I'm like, you don't own anything. Black people don't own anything in the United States but the worst like statistics. So hush. All right, let's get on with Wendy. The tides have turned. So although I am with her regarding, you don't go assaulting people with water, air, weaponry, whatever it is. It's just flat out wrong. But see, when she was in her first season, she got on that train and she was one of the main ones trying to, side with all the crazy chicks against Monique. And now she knows what it feels like to be the target. So that bothered me from the jump, from the very first season. I'm like, wait a second. Look, I am not sitting here identifying with Monique. I am not saying that she is 100% right. What I am going to say is that words hurt, words have meaning. Words hurt and words have meaning. And for a woman to sit there and take pleasure at saying things to another human being and then want to act like they're the victim when people pop off, I'm like, words can be just as violent. They're just not physically violent. And we need to stop that on these shows. So Wendy now realizes, like, she is that target. And then, of course, she's going to have righteous indignation because everybody's like siding this and the other. And I'm not really on Mia's side as far as throwing the water. The fact of the matter is, she did what she did, and that was wrong. But I'm like, you cannot continue to keep being reckless with your tongue and think people, because like everybody has different triggers, right? We've got to stop. So I feel like Wendy, she's a little bit of a sniper. I surely do. Now, a lot of people are going to want to be like, no, no, no. You can't say that. Wendy has dark skin, so it's automatically colorism. Do I think that she's a target this season? I absolutely think she's a target this season. And I do think it's wrong. I just want to make this clear. I think she is a target. I think Candace is a target. But they're not innocent people because they've had their turn at making other people the target. I'm just saying what's happening is not right. Wendy has a nasty mouth. I think she's also a hater. I do think that Wendy's a hater. She hated on Mia from the very beginning when Mia first got on this show. She sure did. She didn't like her. And as much as she wants to claim that she's a professor, this, that, and the other, she acts like nothing more than a petulant child, just like Candace. Look at how she couldn't let it go. She was screaming and yelling and acting like she wanted to buck up. I'm not even into fighting. This is the thing. I'm going to tell you how it would really go down if I were in a situation. In real life, if she had bucked up with me, I'm falling out. I'm going to let you look like the idiot. In private, fisticuffs. See, I do it the opposite. In public, if you remotely come to me, clutch the pearls. I'm falling out. I'm not doing that. I'm just being clear. All this bucking up on people, unless you try to come for my children or something crazy like that, I'm not getting into it. No, no. Oh, that's the timer. Uh-oh. Oh, I need to tell my thing to. Okay, my little robot didn't go off. It must be stuck or something. Anyway, so I just feel like that situation there with Wendy, where are my notes? Yeah, she's got a little nasty mouth too. And see, a lot of people aren't going to. That thing is annoying. Hold on, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Oh, it stopped. All right. Yeah. So look, getting back to Wendy. From the very beginning, she has been nasty. She continuously talks about Mia's face. She likes to take shots at Mia's outward beauty, whatever. So what? She's got craters on her face. But I'm like, but Wendy, people can take shots at you. It would be really easy to take a shot at Wendy. It would be easy to take a shot at anybody on that show, except for me because I'm perfect in every way and can do no wrong, even with my wild hair. But I'm just like, why are you taking shots at this woman's body? So getting back to Wendy with the nasty mouth, because like I said, it's really messed up that this chick threw water on her bow. But like I said, words have meaning. Words are just as violent, and you cannot continue to use your mouth recklessly, like they say in the Bible. The tongue is like a weapon, right? You cannot continue to use your words as a weapon, and then say, "Oh no, oh no," but I'm not violent. I'm like, yes, you are. Yes, you are. You may not have been physically violent, but you were verbally violent. You had a verbal fisticuff. So getting back to this, um, I don't think that she should have been dragged for the whole Peter situation. I feel like it's none of anybody's business. It was none of Mia's business. So however she chooses to do business with Peter, I don't really care. Do I believe she probably sought him out? I do. I do. I think that I said it before and I'll say it again. As intelligent as Wendy is, I also think that she's grossly insecure. She comes across as insecure. Actually, I feel like most of those women on that show come across very insecure. Very insecure. So I'm going to say it once again. That's not coming out the way I want. Words have meaning. Words can be violent. So just because you're not throwing a fist does not mean that your words did not connect, which is why I constantly go back to the whole Candace and Wendy situation. Although I do believe they are a target this season, which is wrong in every single way, you cannot continue to throw out these verbal quips and think that that's not a form of violence. You can't always be the victim all the time. I'll I don't even want to get back to it. All right. I do feel like I never understood in this episode why Wendy was so activated against Sharice. Sharice was sitting there minding her own black business, but everybody wanted to take a turn at Sharice. That's so lame to me. She's literally sitting there, and there was a bunch of deflection going on, and they tried to gaslight the situation. Sharice was literally sitting there just eating. And then calmly she's speaking, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, these women are some sick individuals. I would just say the highlight of that episode was the fact that Ashley was constantly, TikToking. Hilarious. I don't know why, but I was getting my hee haw, and I was like, she's like 500 years old. I was like, oh, but it was funny to me. Moving on. Sharice, look, the fact that these people are going this hard on Sharice lets me know they have nothing better else going on in their lives. I don't know why they have this much smoke for Sharice. She's literally sitting at the table like, this is crazy. I don't get it. I think she should have had somebody do her makeup though, because I don't know what was going on. And the reason why I say this, not because I'm trying to be shady, although this is a shady comment. You know what it is. And you got all these women showing up in their best hooker wear and everything else. What you don't want to do is put yourself at a disadvantage in that setting because you know they're looking for a reason to tear you down because these are some damaged black women on that show. These are some broken women, broken women. So you don't put yourself in a situation where you can give them a reason to talk about you. They want to tear you down because they all are looking for a way to elevate themselves. I'm just saying. So I would say in this episode, Sharice looked out of place. Probably because she wasn't trying to get into it that much because she was looking at it for what it was. I'm going to bring up Karen for a second. Let me go back to my old thumbnail here. I don't think Karen is acting like the matriarch. She goes around talking about like, oh, I didn't come up with this name of Grand Dame, but I am the Grand Dame. I'm like, Grand Dames don't do this. Meaning, she saw this was escalating, and I'm not saying it's her job, but people who are in certain roles in life, they don't let that happen. Like they try to like diffuse the situation. Like I understand they look at it as like they got to let it happen for TV purposes, but at what point do we say enough? At what point do we say there's a line we're not going to cross? Am I blaming her for what happened? No, no, no. But I just see this for what it is. I used to really, really enjoy Karen, and she's still enjoyable. But, I think what's going on, which is starting to turn me off, is her fan favoriteness has gone to her head. And what happens is this is the thing that kills me about social media and Hollywood and everything like that. When you're high or super high and you believe everything that everyone's telling you, and that feeds your self-esteem and everything else. Like that determines who you are. So now she's living off this highness, right? Like she's changed, and there's nothing wrong with growing. But what I'm saying is that this ascension, this elevation has gone to her head. It has gone to her head. Hold on, let me sip. I love a good cup of coffee. It has gone to her head. So now, when Sharice is like, look, I just want to figure out where did we go wrong or whatever. I don't care if it was 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. She's back on the show, even if it's in a friend capacity. I don't care. All she had to do was say, hey, look, this is what was, she doesn't owe it to anybody. But what I am saying is she's the grand dame. That's what she says, right? I'm like, people don't even know why you're even mad. There's a difference between if somebody has harmed you and they know and they're looking to apologize and you're like, look, I'm not interested. But if someone's like, I don't even know why you're mad. And so I just feel like Karen is putting on a lot now. And like I said, as quickly as you rise, you can fall. And I think anyone who is a favorite on these shows, they need to recognize that. All you have to do is look at what's happening in the media now, whether you're in Hollywood, whether you're dumb yay or whatever like that, as quickly as you rise, you can fall. So look, her ego has gone to her head. She made a comment about how she wanted to be engaged with her friends for her birthday. I'm like, these are not your friends. These women are not your friends. They're your coworkers. You're are you hanging out with them when you're done filming? These are not your friends. I don't know any friendship that would treat me like that, wearing tack shirts and talking about my wigs on TV and talking about my husband not getting it up or whatever. Even if I said it, if I were to be fired up and whatever and had loose lips or whatever it was, and then to turn around and try to use that against me, I do think that Karen needs to grow up. She's 59 and she's de-evolving. She has evolved physically, but I feel like it's starting to go to her head a little bit. And I like Karen. A lot of people aren't going to want to hear me say this, but I feel like she's letting her Karen persona on the show go to her head. I do. I just, like I said, I think as quickly as you rise is how you can fall, and I'm not wishing that for her because I think Karen, when she's at her best and her greatest, I think she's good for the show. She's entertaining. um She's quick on the feet, you know, but I just see it just not turning out right, so I just wanted to just bring that out. Candace, she wasn't in this episode. Thank goodness. Those are my thoughts on that. I'm sure she's gonna come in next week and whine and cry and use language for who cares. But anyway, so basically, in a nutshell, there still is no womanhood on this show. I feel like Mia and Wendy, they never had it for each other. So it is what it is. I know a lot of people are going to get out there on their platforms today. I'm going to try to listen to some. If I have a couple of moments today, I'll be able to catch some of it. I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to come hard on Mia. And she deserves to be called out for her behavior. But what they better do is call out the fact that, but wait a second, Wendy was just as vicious in her language because she was coming for this woman's husband. She was. I'm not saying Nia was right. I'm not. But when you're out there and she's saying, like, this is business, though, right? She wasn't trying to attack anyone's marriage, but see what Wendy did was she went for the jugular. And then afterwards, Wendy kept going and going and going. Yes, she did. Okay, so I'm going to say something about Robin. Robin keeps saying that she was being antagonistic. Actually, in that moment, she was. Actually, she was right. Robin was actually right. But see, Robin is also biased. She doesn't like Wendy. So if Wendy breathes the wrong way, she's going to be like, oh, there it is. Look, Robin already has shown that she's also aggressive. She's aggressive and I don't know. I'm not here for Robin either. But she was right. She's like, you're antagonizing the situation. This is the thing. When you are on 10 or you're hyped about something where you've basically been assaulted, I can understand why somebody would continue to now put 20 on 10, right? I get that. Nevertheless, it doesn't make it right. Just like when Wendy was using her words as a weapon, it doesn't make it right that Mia threw water on her, later tried to throw a napkin at her or something like that. They, at this point, they both continued to flame the situation. Giselle sitting there telling Karen to be a friend of somebody, whatever. I'm like, I don't see Giselle trying to diffuse it either. And to be honest, if I were on that show, I'm like, I'm not a friend to anybody on that show. I probably would have just said, hey, look, if you guys can't control yourselves, I need to leave. I have to leave. These women are a piece of work. All right, well, look, this is a good opportunity for you to subscribe right now because I'm entertaining in my own mind. That's it. Have a good one.